I never want to go to two mics again.
All right, hello and welcome to the Be Supreme Well Fit podcast. Back again is Dr. Chris Cordero. Chris, how are you, man?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Doing great.
I feel like I can't fully turn to you because I'm
That's all right.
I'm on a leash here with the headphones.
That's all right.
But yeah. So today we are talking about the age-old topic ever since machines for fitness were invented. So that is machines versus free weights.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes, so excited.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very common question that I get. And I'm sure people ask you too, for safety, for best benefits and all that good stuff. So, should I give the answer right now, or should we talk about it first?
Well, you gotta dangle it a little bit.
Dangle a little bit? Okay. I'm tempted just to say the answer because I do have an answer.
Yeah. You could go for it.
No. Do you have an answer? Do you have an answer?
Like many things in medicine, it's not a straightforward answer, most likely.
Not a straightforward answer. Yeah, I have. If you had to choose right now, you're on a desert island, you can only bring one thing to work out with. Would it be a circuit of machines or would it be free weights?
Oh my God. See, I would say.
You gotta answer.
All right. Free weights. I was gonna say machines because if you're on an island, you could lift up like coconuts and stuff, and be like and work out like a real person.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of coconut workouts would you do? Would you like throw them? Like, how are you gonna grab the coconut? Like, what are you gonna do with the coconut?
You could just, anything, just throw it, balance it on the head, whatever, squish it.
There you go. You got 3 exercises.
There you go.
Coconut workout if you find yourself on an island using coconuts. Okay, so what would you say? So for those of you who don't know, I brought Chris on the show basically to give his input on mainly the safety factor and kind of the injuries that you'll see. Also because it's a very interesting approach when it comes to rehab in terms of machines versus free weights, and also the recommendations to avoid injuries, free weights versus machines. So I guess there's 2 kind of issues or subjects to address, which is, which is safer,
right,
and then which is going to get you the better results for what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you usually say if someone asks you free weights or machines?
I usually it always depends on the patient's prior level of experience. So that's kind of, I would start to kind of formulate my answer. But if it's just for like the general population, I would probably more so go with, I tend to like the more of the body weight type things, just because if you don't know, if you have no experience or if you have a ton of experience, you have to learn the right way to move. And when you're on machines, they're going to be very uniplanar for the most part. And I know, we can go off, on into greater detail how you can actually make machines more beneficial and both in rehab and not. But, I tend to believe that, people need to learn the right way to move first. That being said, if you have, very little to no experience in the gym or exercising, I'm going to, I'm going to take the time to teach you the right way to do things. But I know that, getting you on a machine is a faster way and probably more so a safer way to get there, So, doing leg press versus doing a body weight squat or a barbell squat, for instance. And of course both of them have their benefits in different ways, but I would be more so inclined to for the novice, get a patient on a leg press, and not that you can just go on a leg press and with no care in the world for form or anything and be successful at it. But it definitely tends to be, in my mind, a little more of a safer route to go for for those who are, less experienced. But
We're tied 1-1. You can't read my
All right.
hieroglyphic
All right.
handwriting, but we have learn to move for the free weights, and safer and somewhat faster in terms of like just getting someone in
adaptability.
the gym. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm not going to change my writing, but yes, adaptability. So, yeah, there we go, 1-1. Now, let's get down to the real question, man. The gains.
The gains.
What's going to help me lose the fat and build the muscle better? Because that's what I want to know. What's your answer to that question?
I would definitely go with the answer of bigger compound movements. So typically that's going to be more doable with the free weights. It's not impossible with machines. Depends on kind of what machine you have and you're using. But I would say, my go-to would be, doing a big compound movement using free weights. So whether that's, and by free weights, we're talking kettlebells, dumbbells, barbells, anything that you have to control that's not, a machine, essentially. Where would you put cables?
Great question.
Where would you put that?
Yeah, so, machines. We're also not talking about elliptical, treadmill, rower, Stairmaster. And I'm going to say, for the sake of this topic, we're also going to eliminate TRX, which is questionable, cable machines. I don't know if there's anything else really that would fall under, like, is this a machine or not?
Smith machine?
Ooh, yes. That's a great one. Smith machine, that falls under machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it has machine in its name, so I think
by
definition, we have to call it. The Smith machine, for those who need a refresher or don't know, is a bar. So, like, by the nature of it, it's not a typical machine where there's, like, a handle and you put your feet here or hands there. It's just a straight bar that hooks onto different levels, so it's kind of like a safe thing. And it's in a set path. So as soon as you unhook it, it goes up and down, but it is a bar, so you can do almost anything that you can do with a regular bar on it. Yeah. I'm going to say Smith machine is machine.
All right.
Even though there's
it's like an asterisk, though, because...
Yeah.
It
I
is
would
a
say
machine.
Smith machine is more of a machine than cables. That's what I'm saying. Free motion cables.
This is getting deep.
Not like a seated cable.
Yeah.
Rower, pull down cable. I'm talking like the cables that you can adjust up and down, in and out. That's
your
that
cable
to
columns,
me is more just like more body weight, not body weight, but
freer motion.
Yeah, sure. So I don't consider that quite as a machine. So yeah, we're sticking to the like really set machines, the chest press, a row machine, leg press, kind of that situation, and they come in all shapes and sizes.
The 5 machines that every gym member does every single day for 60 years.
Exactly.
Those 5.
Exactly. I don't even remember what you asked me now. Oh, do cables count?
Yeah. So I guess we kind of answered that.
Cables don't count.
All right. What did you ask
free
me?
Weights. I don't know.
Compound movements.
Compound movements. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
You gotta get your entire body moving. If the more muscles you are recruiting, the more joints that you're recruiting, the more calories your bodies are burning. So if you're just isolating your bicep versus doing a squat with a press, the squat and press is involving everything from your feet all the way up into your hands. The bicep is, we can argue that, of course you have to have, there's going to be some isolation and stability that you have to have at your core with a bicep curl. But let's just, for the sake of the argument, you're just contracting one, little bit of the muscle. So just by the nature of that, your body is going to have to burn more calories, and it's going to have to, use more effort to do that huge compound movement from the foot all the way up.
Yeah. That's 2 for free weights.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be overall.
Am I team free weights or machine? Or are we picking
free weights? But calories, overall calories. I'm good, right?
I guess edging towards
better. better complete workout. I don't know. Wait, I gotta write something.
All right.
Stable.
I would say it
Stabilization,
requires more,
muscle recruitment.
muscle recruitment. Excellent.
Okay, cool. Um,
How about the plate-loaded leg press
ooh, no, it's still machine
machine? Yeah.
recruitment. So look, I'm gonna give the answer because I can't wait any longer, and then we'll talk about
All
it.
right.
The answer is both. The answer is both, with a much stronger lean towards free weights. If you had to pick, we would say, I think we both say free weights.
Right.
However, there are certain machines that are extremely beneficial to you making gains, and there are also some machines that do things that you can't do with free weights.
Exactly.
That's what I'll say. That's why you need both. And now a lot of people will argue, especially like those who do like strictly calisthenics and like those crazy guys who work out on like pull-up bars and stuff and
Yeah,
like, look
yeah.
amazing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Most of that is genetics, but yeah, you can get great workouts from things like that.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on what has everything depends on what your goal is.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So if you're coming from more of a rehab safety standpoint, a machine, you don't have to worry as much as the stabilization, but you can still isolate that muscle and work it. If you're talking from an aesthetic standpoint or isolating to get stronger, now we're kind of switching gears of the end goal. Machines can also be extremely
Right.
effective in targeting that muscle. On the opposite side, while it seems safer to do a machine when you're trying to rehab or something, you also need to develop those stabilizing muscles around
Exactly.
it, or you're just going to end up hurting yourself again.
Exactly.
So you kind of have to do something that incorporates some type of balance,
Right.
and go from there. Which is why cables are pretty awesome sometimes,
Yeah.
because they're kind of a mix of both worlds. You have that free weight motion, but you know exactly where the leverages are coming from.
Yeah.
And
You have a fixed plane somewhat.
and you can line yourself up and go from there. So maybe cables win.
Maybe
Cables don't win, but they're definitely definitely a good mix. So, do you agree with that answer?
I
You
do.
don't have
Yeah.
to. You don't have to.
No. I think that like you said, every person has different goals. In my experience, I find that, if I was going to have like a new athlete, 7th, 8th grade, and it was their first time in the gym, I would only do body weight and free weight type movements first. So I want to make sure that, can you do a proper push up? Can you do a proper squat? Can you do a proper pull up before we start, throwing chains on you and loading up the leg press and all that. Because I truly believe that you have to develop those motor, those motor planning and motor recruitment strategies to be able to properly use machines. And there's definitely a right and a wrong way of using machines. And, take a glance at any of your commercial gyms and you'll see most people just very odd techniques, and, and machines can be very unsafe if you do them wrong. Or you just see people kind of, doing 200 reps of leg press and they're not, there's not a drop of sweat on them, so there's kind of two spectrums where, people either go way too light or they're just using really crazy improper form. They're using way too much momentum. And now I've worked out with Ben a couple times, over the past couple years, and if you ever see our videos, we definitely have two different styles, and neither is really wrong. I think Ben definitely, you could tell he's really trying to recruit every single muscle fiber and get, full maximum stretch of the muscle, full range. Whereas I tend to kind of lock down my core a little bit more and try to use as little momentum as I can. And I've definitely learned a lot from Ben, where I tend to sometimes I'll kind of combine the two, and I will do a little more momentum. And it's a whole other topic, that we can get into maybe next time, but kind of what's proper form, because there's so many different ways out there. But again, I would say, if you're starting out, whether you're young or old, I would try to get you to learn the proper movement first, and then, if machines are the route we're going to go, then I would select those.
I agree. I just don't want to lose my ideas that I just had
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
said that. You said form, and then I wanted to say something about the exercises that you choose to do on machines and not on machines. And then also an interesting point to what you're saying with starting people with movements. So I've the way you described is the textbook way to train people, and that's actually the way like my certification teaches me,
Mm-hmm.
or that's like their whole model is like stabilize, get strong, do power things.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's kind of the model of
Right,
it
right.
all, and it makes total sense.
Yeah,
And there's studies behind it and science things.
yeah.
I have had the I don't want to say this makes me like neglectful, but I have experimented, if you will,
Yeah, yeah.
with a client or two
Yeah, yeah.
in doing things that are not traditional in terms of the approach of programming. So what I mean by that is a side shoulder raise, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you have a half hour with somebody, you likely won't be doing a standing side dumbbell shoulder raise with them, right? Because you'll be doing full body movements.
Right.
Um, if you want to work the shoulder and the stabilizing muscles around it, you're going to be doing a press movement, either vertically or horizontally,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But I took that and I did do somewhat of a bodybuilding workout
Yeah, yeah.
where we would isolate some things at certain times. And I'm not saying that's right, um, but two things did happen. One, well, actually, to be honest, one, they looked really good.
Yeah, yeah.
They look good because we're sculpting them. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's a different kind of approach. It wasn't
Exactly.
just general strength and building. They looked good.
Yeah.
The shoulders are the first thing you see after the head. So when they have
Exactly.
those sculpted and capped shoulders, it's like, wow, this person
Yeah.
looks good. So
Yeah.
you can visibly see certain results and stuff. And it's not like that's all we did all workout. Two is there's I guess you could say it's almost like it's not quite a chicken and the egg situation, but when you go and say you're going to do the bench press, which you lay down and you push this up, that works your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps, right? So a lot of people will say like, boom, check, check, check. You got that, and then we go on to the next thing,
Right.
and oh, we got tricep working through our pushing and this or that. But when you do something like isolate shoulders and stuff like that, it translates into the bench press.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you'll build up a strong bench press, and then you know what someone's going to say to you when you plateau is like, you should get your shoulders stronger. You
Yeah.
should get your triceps
Exactly.
stronger.
Yeah,
You should work
yeah.
on your lockout.
Your lats. Yeah,
So your base of stabilization. So it's kind of interesting to start by
Right.
doing all that stuff.
Right,
not
right.
not like you're not doing the main movement,
yeah.
but almost put more emphasis or equal emphasis on the accessory things
Yeah.
and the power things. It's not traditional. It's not
No,
traditional
yeah.
way of
Yeah.
doing it, but I was very pleased at how this one client ended up looking
Yeah.
and performing once we got into the big movements again.
Yeah.
So that's something I just wanted to say in terms of the programming thing. Now your form selection, well, you talked about machines, because I guess we should clarify that we said machines are safer and faster and whatever in terms of getting someone ready, but yeah, it's all about how you do it. At the
Yeah,
end of the day,
exactly.
anything is all about how you do it. And then you talk about rep range. You got people who think 3 sets of 30. They're like, oh, I'll just do 1 set of 30 and
Yeah.
and I'll get it all done. Oh, sorry, 3 sets of 10.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll just
yeah.
do 1 set of 30 and I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
It all adds up. So that's
No.
a misunderstanding as well. But
Yeah.
the specific exercises that I feel you can't get the most out of, or that are good to do on machines, if we're talking about free weights, and you can feel free to add things too, but the lat pull down is something that I like a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I'll elaborate on that a little bit. You might think, oh, lat pull down, just do pull ups, or just do assisted pull up machine, or XYZ. But I think the lat pull down allows a unique opportunity to adjust your grips, adjust your angles of the way you're
Mm-hmm.
pulling, and then also to go way lighter than what you could get out of the assistance of a, you know what I mean? You would have to
Yeah.
really give all the assistance to help you
Yeah.
pull up, and also go way heavier
Yeah.
than a weighted pull up would,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
You can. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's also just extra isolated because you're sitting down and you got to use kind of all your
Yeah.
back and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's one that I like a lot. And then the leg extension.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that's always a debated one too if it's good or not, but I like it a lot. But the leg extension is interesting because there's not really anything that's going to give you that same kind of feeling
Yeah.
that you can do with free weights, in my opinion. Can you think of something?
Not unless you, not unless you strap some like super heavy ankle weights on.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that.
Even so though, there's not a consistent tension.
Right. Right.
As you go up, it's going to
Exactly.
change. As you come down, it's going to change.
Yep.
If you strap yourself into a cable or you put a dumbbell between your feet and you went up, it would get harder
Yeah.
and it would be easier as you come down. So I feel like even if you squatted, if you bent all the way down, you're just using other muscles. So
Yeah.
I think that's a unique machine in terms of you won't get that kind of exact stimulus, a constant tension, and a stretch on your
Yeah.
quad in any other exercise.
Yeah.
So those kind of machines I think are unique and are important to incorporate if you're trying to develop those muscles or rehab that kind of certain area. It's not like super duper necessary, but
Yeah.
I think it makes it very unique that you can't really mimic that one.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. And it all depends on like the style of the machine and the make of the machine because now there so many machines out there that could be so much more effective or you get a more range of motion out of it or that constant tension like you were discussing but yeah no I think I know some people try to say like the leg extension machine is the devil and you should eliminate it from every workout plan but no I think it really can isolate the quad like no other and getting that full stretch at the bottom and then you also have the people on the other side saying, well, it's not functional, in your everyday life, you're not, kicking your leg up and down like that. But it's, I'm always more of the school of thought that it all depends on, your goals and what you're trying to achieve. And if you're doing it in a safe manner, any movement is good. And you never want to just do one type of movement. So yeah, you could be like the greatest at pulling up, but it might not translate to the lat pull down, or you might plateau at a certain point. So you always want to change things up, and by kind of going from machine to free weight. I think if you can almost if you have that big encyclopedia of exercises that you're able to do. It's just going to make it makes the workouts more interesting, and it's going to prevent your body from plateauing, and then again you can work on very specific movements or muscles that might need attention. So that's the benefit of just kind of opening up your mind to doing more than just machines or more than just free weights kind of thing. So
Absolutely. Something that I'm pretty sure I've used this style when I worked out with you too, so you can speak on it. But just to provide an example of the hybrid, especially in like one workout, is using machines. I mean, you can use them whenever in the workout, but something that I've done in the past is use a chest fly machine prior to doing dumbbell press or barbell press, either like incline or
Mm-hmm.
flat. So the purpose of that being my chest is kind of like activated, if you will,
Right.
maybe pre-exhausted, or there's just blood in there depending on how intensely I go through
Yeah.
that. But I'm feeling my chest, and I feel my chest going into that movement,
Yeah.
and I'm not, my shoulders aren't tired and my triceps aren't tired
Yeah, because
to
you're not
help
using
me
them there. Yeah.
with
As
the
much.
push. So
Yeah.
that's one way to warm up. Or when you throw the machine at the end, it doesn't have to be a fly machine, but now all your stabilizers are fatigued, so you don't have to worry about stabilizing. And then you can do this fly machine at the end.
Yeah.
So you did all this stuff, and maybe like your shoulders and your tries, they're just fried from the pressing as
Yeah.
well, but you still can get a little more out of your chest.
Exactly.
So you isolate it with the fly machine. And it is different than just a dumbbell fly, because the dumbbell fly, you still have to stabilize, you still have
Yeah.
to grip it, and stuff like that.
And you
With
lose a lot of tension at the top.
yeah, oh, definitely.
It's
So,
completely gone. Yeah.
so those are two ways that you can kind of incorporate, and you can do that with anything. So you can almost use the machines. I don't want to say a break, but maybe like a slight rest in between the workout as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you just did a big press, right? And your shoulder. So before you go on to a different type of press, if you do a little what I call the press fly sandwich, you do a press, then a fly, and then a press, and it makes a nice sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of you're still working your chest, but you let your shoulders and tries recover a little bit in
Yeah.
between, and then you go on to the next
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some examples of how you can mix in machines into the free weights in one workout. Also, because in case there's any ladies watching, you got to use the free weights will help sculpt your booty and your legs. They really will. You can't. A lot of those isolated machines are awesome, and just like how guys use like the bicep curl machine, and
Yeah.
girls
Yeah.
will use a glute kickback machine.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how I see that being the same idea. Definitely helpful, but if you'd be shocked at developing the stabilizers around your butt and your legs and stuff is fantastic, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of girls shy away from that,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't know if it's just trends, or guys work out in a certain way, girls work on, or I hear it all the time too from my female patients that oh, I don't want to start lifting because I don't want to start lifting like a guy because I don't want to look like a guy, or I don't want to get
Yeah.
I don't want to get jacked and all that. And my answer is always, there's plenty of guys out there that work out, as much as they want, and they never really get results, and they're lifting, and that's just because it's not easy to get shredded, or to put on lots of muscle mass. It takes a lot of work. You got to eat a lot of food, and get your, just like just like anything. So
Yeah.
but one of my go-to exercises specifically for the glutes, and you might not directly think of it as a glute exercise, is a like a Bulgarian split squat, where you're holding a dumbbell or a kettlebell in the hand opposite the leg that is in front. So let's say I'm holding a dumbbell in my right hand, I'm stepping back, or I have my right leg back on a bench or a box or something, and then I'm using my left leg to do the lunge primarily. And by holding that weight in the opposite side of the stance leg, the weight wants to pull you over to the side. So in order to stabilize, you have to use all of your lateral muscles here, your obliques, and then specifically the gluteus medius, and your glute max, really.
AKA your side ass.
The side ass, yeah, that's the best one.
In case you didn't know.
But it really hits that muscle hard, and then obviously the other one that's probably even better is the Romanian deadlift, which hits the posterior chain like no other. Doing two legs or one leg at a time can, again, really isolate the hamstrings and glutes when you're doing that exercise. And that one feel free to load it up as much as you want. You're not, your legs are not going to explode overnight. If anything, if anything, you're just going to build more lean muscle, and muscle requires more energy from your body. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn throughout the day. It's just that your muscles require more energy to use. So, trust me, you're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger after, loading up
Yeah,
the loading up the plates a little bit.
definitely. So yeah, that's kind of, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I hate when people say that to me. Well, I'll defend the ladies a little bit in terms of like some definitely gain muscle a lot easier than others.
Yeah, yeah.
That does happen. But when someone's like, I don't want my arms to look like yours, and they're like, no offense, and I'm like, you have no idea how hard I had to do, like what I had to do to even just get to this point. So like, you don't need to worry about that. You're gonna do two arm exercises and be,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
look
Yeah.
like a man or whatever. So yeah, get strong in that. You have anything?
Shoulders are sexy. Shoulders are
Yeah.
really sexy.
Oh yeah. Shoulder. Oh, that's actually the muscle. We're talking about the free weights and the machines and the selection that I was talking about before. How like maybe the lat pull down is one of my favorites, and the leg extension. But shoulders is such an interesting muscle group in terms of using machines versus free weights.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's like an area that a lot of people hurt themselves in
Yeah.
or have previous
Yeah.
injuries in, and it's so easy to hurt yourself in. So it's you really have to. I would suggest that you really talk to somebody like a trainer or a therapist in regards to what you're doing and using those, because machines will take the stabilization out of the pressing, so you could isolate it, of course, like we've talked about. But sometimes those angles can be brutal for
Yeah.
some people, because machines are not meant for everybody. Everyone's built a little bit differently. So
Exactly.
to counter that point, some machines feel amazing because they'll hit you right in the spot that you're trying to target. But sometimes you can do a shoulder press machine just because that's such a, whether like this neutral or just out a little bit is better. Starting from here and pressing up, or starting from here and pressing up. A lot of people, when they have dumbbells, they'll ask me like, "Do you want me to start here, or do you want me to start down here, or whatever it is?" And it's kind of a mix. You want to like stretch the front delt, but it doesn't need to be so much that it's like pain. You
Yeah.
want to keep it tension. But in terms of choosing machines over free weights for shoulders, I would say that you really have to go with what you feel and comfortable with, because most shoulder machines are either going to be here or here for the pressing. And if you kind of feel better in a neutral
Yeah.
spot, or like a slightly angled or that twist, sometimes the dumbbells could be better for
Right.
you on those regards. And there's not many machines that go out to the side either.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously machines that do that, but not a ton. And those are even more specific to your leverages of how far away you're pulling from, because some hit you on the arm, like your shoulder, and you just raise like that. Others you hold from your hand,
Yeah.
and that's like pounds difference.
Yeah. Tremendously.
From
Yeah. Yeah.
the point that you're moving from.
And if you don't fit properly, if your arm is a little longer or a little shorter, if you don't fit properly in that machine, then that little change in position of the pad can, like you said, it could be, a large amount of pounds difference of strain and pressure that's going right to your shoulder, rotator cuff, and everything.
Yeah, I would actually go on record, unfortunately, and say that I would stress the free weights over machines for shoulder exercises.
I would agree, and I haven't come across a ton of shoulder machines, so there might be some machines out there that are designed really well that kind of allow for that freer movement, or there might be machines out there that just feel better for my shoulders versus others. But in my experience, I find that I get just as good of a pump, if you will, on for my shoulders with free weights, and just by changing my angle slightly, or laying on my stomach on a bench with a little bit of incline. I feel like I could never do enough or think of enough variations that to the point where I would find myself kind of plateauing. And you could do it in standing. You could do one arm press, so that you're really asking a lot of your core to kind of stabilize as you're pressing that weight overhead. And then, or you can do cables. I find, again, going back to cables, I find that they can be very effective in isolating. Again, it's going to be a little more of a fixed plane, so you really want to make sure that you have that cable on the right level. And I feel like some people will kind of either put it all the way at the bottom, all the way at the top, or directly at whatever the middle number is. Let's say it's 5.
Yeah.
But again, you really have to, and this is where it's important to use your trainer, use your physical therapist to kind of give you advice, specifically more so trainer probably in this instant. But have them really look at you and make sure that whatever level you have it at is appropriate for what you're trying to do, but you're also doing it with good form, kind of thing. So but yeah, I agree with the lack of machine for the shoulders.
Yeah. I think maybe the rear delts, a rear delt fly of going backwards, may be a small exception.
Yeah.
For a reverse fly machine and or a cable pulling across, to keep a constant tension.
Yeah.
Because there's really not too many things that you can do just based on angles with free weights for rear delts.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, you could change your angle of a bench if you're laying on it.
Yeah, yeah.
But essentially, it's always going to be the same kind of path.
Right.
So maybe that's the one exception for that. What else do you have? You have any thoughts on anything else on free weights versus machines?
I love kettlebells. We didn't really talk about kettlebells too
Kettlebells.
much, and that's a whole other topic. But it's one of the I've been using them a lot more. My next door neighbor, actually, growing up with him, he just kind of made himself an expert in using kettlebells, and that was my first taste of it. And you want to talk about like a total body movement, and if you do not have perfect form, that kettlebell can hurt you. And I think maybe that's why it does intimidate a lot of people, because it does take a lot of practice to develop that good form to use it. And again, I know we can go into greater detail about specific movements, but if you ever have the chance to work with someone who really knows what they're doing with kettlebells, and you're interested in it, it's one of the greatest workouts you could ever have. And I'm not saying that you have to be do only kettlebells for the rest of your life. Like I said, the bigger, larger arsenal of exercises that you have is at the end is gonna help you and benefit you, so that you don't plateau. You constantly adapt to different movements. And coming from a physical therapy standpoint, life is made up of billions of random movements, and going from picking up something heavy off the ground to picking up your kid's laundry off the ground 50 times a day, kind of thing. And the more prepared your body is and the more primed your muscles are, the less likely you're going to get injured in those instances. So like I said, whether it's lifting a toothpick or something heavy, it all adds up in the end. So the more prepared you are, the less likely you're going to get injured. Or if you do get injured, which is going to happen to everybody at some point, you're going to recover much better and quicker, knock on wood, than someone who has never lifted something up, who's never exercised before, never developed those movement patterns, kind of thing. So
yeah, that's an interesting point. So you got to start slow then. Essentially, you're saying that, in your opinion, not only are you team free weights, but you're team free weights with an emphasis on kettlebells.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. Yeah.
But to that point, you could wreck yourself using kettlebells if you don't know what you're doing.
It could hurt.
So
and I've definitely felt it.
Yeah. That's a whole different topic. But basically, because I mean, when you say kettlebells, you could literally do anything. You could do a normal move with a kettlebell.
Right.
You could just pick it up.
Right.
You could curl it. You can
Yeah.
do whatever. Or you could do like more specific kettlebell moves where you do like I don't know what's more like a swing
Kettlebell
or
swing,
whatever snatch, not
press.
snatch, a clean press.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know. You see a bunch
The
of crazy
slingshot.
stuff.
Have you ever seen the slingshot?
No, not by name. I don't recognize it.
So it's kind of like a swing where you're swinging the kettlebell in between your legs, but you're doing it with one hand, and then as the kettlebell is coming in between your legs, you grab it from behind,
Oh,
and
Lord.
then you swing it up. Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'll show you. We'll do a video one day,
I'm surprised
and then everyone will do it.
I'm surprised that a therapist is saying it to
Oh
you.
my God, I'm a huge fan of kettlebells. I find it's the best
Through the
way
legs.
through the legs, through the legs.
It's
I
like-
find
sounds
it's
like a
the best
circus
way to
act.
teach hip hinging, just because with a kettlebell, for those who don't know, it's kind of like this, but you know it has a handle at the top, and then imagine it's just a big ball of iron at the bottom. So because all of that weight is really carried and dispersed at the bottom, it changes the entire dynamics. Whereas a dumbbell is gonna, it's much more ergonomic. It's gonna fit nicely in your hand. The weight is evenly distributed. So it again, dumbbell. You can make dumbbells as hard as you want, and you never have to pick up a kettlebell in your life. You could look amazing just using dumbbells. But again, with kettlebells, because the weight is distributed differently, it kind of forces your body. Again, if you don't use good form while doing it, then the kettlebell will tell you, essentially. It'll speak to you. It might speak to you by hitting your shin or your wrist, or hopefully those are the only two spots that you get hit, nothing else. But
That's a high risk to reward there with the kettlebell. What would you say the prerequisites are before you start working with the kettlebell? Or you say that you can just go right to kettlebells as long as you're guided properly?
I believe you could go right to kettlebells as long as you're guided properly, and just like any movement, any exercise, there's ways of kind of ramping you up and giving you, making you familiarize yourself with using them. So giving you simple movements in the beginning, and then once you master those and you really get a feel for it, then you kind of move on. And of course, the other aspect is starting lighter, and just like with anything, just with deadlifting and squatting and all that kind of stuff, you have to learn the movement before jumping right into it and picking up the big guy.
There you go. That's a good summary. So basically, we love machines because they help sculpt us and build muscle in a safe way when they feel good. But the bottom line is you need to learn how to move. You need to learn how to move properly, whether that's just with your body weight and then adding free weights, and then you can mix them in together. Is that a good answer?
Yeah.
You agree with that answer?
Yeah, because I think by moving properly, you'll be able to make the machines way more effective. That's the whole point. Is you have to control the machine. Don't let the machine control you.
Oh,
That's
deep.
a great way to end it.
Yeah. Got anything else to say, or do you want to end on that?
I got coronavirus. I had to mention it because it's happening. I had to get it in. I told Ben at the beginning. I'm like, you're gonna ask me a question about
coronavirus.
You're gonna ask me a question about what's better, free weights and I was gonna go off on a whole tangent on coronavirus just because it's hot right now. But I'm just trying to avoid it as best I can at work, working with hands-on people, and
Stay away from the kettlebells for the time being,
Yeah.
because Chris is by.
there's blood all over the kettlebells from
he's
people
all
hitting
about the
themselves.
coronavirus. Well, we hope you stay healthy and safe.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in. Free weights with a mix of machines. Learn how to move. Machines are a great way to start, though, to stimulate muscle growth. But at the end of the day, get with somebody that knows and can teach you how to move properly, and no matter what you use, will be effective.
Absolutely.
Till next time.
All right, guys.